Hello, this is Pastor Jeremy at Community Lutheran Church, and I'm here with Francis Loehr, who is a member of Community Lutheran Church and has served as the church's treasurer for the last 5 years. And we are going to have a conversation around generosity. So, Francis, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Well, let's just jump in with our first question. Can you tell me about someone generous in your life?
Yes. So I thought about this a lot. Evidently, I have a lot of strong women figures in my life who demonstrated generosity. But the one that I kept coming back to was my mom. And my mom always believed in being generous when it was needed. So rather than having elaborate birthday presents or Christmas presents, you would get things that you needed at that moment. So if you needed winter boots, you got winter boots right then. If we were doing horse shows and we needed supplies so that we could do horse shows, we would get it right when we needed it. It was always pretty clear that we didn't necessarily have to ask for it, but she would just provide those things when it was needed. She would provide help. She would provide food. She would provide money to people in our community who needed it when they needed it. When I told her that I wanted to bring home 20 friends for Thanksgiving, she said, sure, that's fine. And I brought 20 of my college friends home for Thanksgiving, and we would be home for 4 days. And she would buy all the groceries so that we could have 7-course meals every night for 4 nights. So she just demonstrated like opening up her house, feeding people, teaching people, all of those things were part of that generosity. She always believed that we had enough to share. Whether that was time or whether that was funds, she really embodied living in abundance. So recognizing that there was always enough in the world, and it was just a matter of like how we were using it, and that if we had more than enough, then we should be sharing it with other people. I remember doing Meals on Wheels with her, and I was pretty small, probably 6 or 7, and my brother and I would go with her to do Meals on Wheels. And we would take those meals to the shut-ins in our community, and then we would stop and chat. And it became really clear to me that those visits were just as important as the food. And that was a big part of why we were doing it, and not just for their satisfaction of getting to see some people, but also for a learning experience for my brother and I. How to talk to people and how to find out about their past and how to share. In that case, probably all we were sharing was just like childlike awe and glee over maybe something pretty they had in their window, or something that they could see from their front window, or something that they had made at their house. And so that it's really stuck with me that those were important visits. And that for a lot of those people, the visits were probably more important than the food, because they just didn't have a lot of people.
Right.
And that was probably my first exposure to the idea of the 5 love languages, where different people feel loved or give in different ways. So you can give with gifts, or you can give with time, or you can give with compliments, or you can give with skills, or you can do something for somebody. And all of those things were just kind of encapsulated in the way that she presented like that open hand approach to living her life. And generosity was one of the things that we learned from that.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Next question. When has someone surprised you with a generous gift?
Well, I've probably had several over the years, but now it's my kids that are showing me what that surprise gift might look like, what generosity looks like. And in this case, it's not at all about funds. It's not at all about money. It's very much about generosity of spirit. So they go out and collect pretty rocks. That first dandelion of the summer, of the spring, Truett already went out and found that first dandelion for me to tuck behind my ear, and he was just so sweet about it. I have so many drawings of rainbows, like so many drawings, so very many. I'm not sure what to do with them, but I have so many drawings, and that's something that they're always capable of just sitting down and saying, I want to do this for you. I want to do this for someone else. They save out of the Easter candy. They went through and they saved the things that mom likes best. And that's like a separate category, and they're holding that candy for me. And just sweet little things like that. But this year at Christmas, Delicia surprised me with a box, like a big box. And I thought, what is she doing? Like, she hasn't been out and about shopping or anything else. But she and my dad had sat down and built me a Yule log centerpiece for Christmas. And they had pretty much made it out of all natural stuff. And it's just beautiful. And it totally took me by surprise that she and my dad kind of banded together and figured out how to do this. And it was not something that I really had any concept, no inkling at all that it was coming. And it was just totally welcome. So it was great.
That's awesome. That's sweet.
Total surprise.
Yeah, and the great amount of rainbow pictures makes me smile a lot.
Oh man, I think I need to show you. Hang on here. We're at my desk. Like this many pictures. I mean, I just sometimes don't know what to do with all this love.
That's awesome. So generous. That's cool. All right. Let's go on to that next question. When have you experienced the abundant joy of being generous to others?
Okay, so I have two illustrations for this. The first one is when I was in my 4-H group growing up, so I would have been maybe 10 or 12 at that point. There was some sort of an angel tree within the community, so you could go and you could be assigned a family. You would know the genders and the ages of the children, and then maybe a couple of things that they really wanted for Christmas. And their families had been recognized as not being able to provide those things at that time. And so our club would take like $100, and it was so much fun to go out as a group and go shopping for these people that we didn't know. And just, what could we get for that $100? Could we get all the things that they wanted? Could we come up with better things than what they wanted? Did we want to go back and make a decision to also get food supplies so they could make a Christmas dinner? Just, there was so much excitement, and like that generosity just kept rolling, and people wanted to be a part of it. People wanted to be on that shopping trip or help wrap it or something. And we never got to see the results, but we always felt like it just filled us up to be able to do it. So that's the first one. And the second one is a time when I was in the community, new to this community, and someone came by and said, that it was at a group function, and they said, that they were needing some money. And I was able to go and quick check what our budget was and write a check and hand it to them. And they said, oh, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. But then later came back and like tapped on me and said, did you mean to write it for that much?
Huh.
And yeah, I did. Yeah, huh. I sure did. And they were surprised, and it was just it was fun to be able to know that we had that much to give. And that was something that meant something to us, that, what they were dealing with. And so we were able just to say, hey, here you go, enjoy.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing these stories. I think it's powerful to hear you reflecting back on the generosity of your mom and the the generous the abundance that you receive from your kids,
Yeah.
and also the joy that you got in being generous with your 4-H group, and then as one brother and sister in Christ to help another. It's great to hear those stories, and I can sense how God has been at work in these stories. So thank you for sharing them.
You're welcome.
This is the
They got me all tingly. I love that.
This is the first of two videos. So we're going to end this one now, and we'll talk a little bit more about how we see generosity at Community Lutheran Church next. So thanks, Francis.
Perfect. Yep.